Afternoon.
Afternoon. Mark, first chance we had to talk to you since you signed your new contract, so congratulations to you on that.
Thank you.
How pleased are you with that?
Yeah, really pleased. I think what it gives me and the staff and the club is continuity, and that's a rare thing in football these days, it seems. So I've had 18 months here, really enjoyed every moment of that, and to obviously get a commitment from the owners that they've liked what they've seen and want to move forward again. It's really satisfying. I think we're in a good place at the moment. I think everybody's excited by what's ahead of us. I think a lot of the things that you need to be successful at this level are in place, and we've just got to make sure that we keep on improving. We've had a decent season up to this point. We're still looking to achieve things we didn't last year, which was an exceptional season from our point of view. So all in all, I think it's a good message for everybody. It's a good message for the fans, I feel, and it's a good message for the players as well. They're going to have continuity of work. They know where I come from, what my standards are, and I think that enables players to keep on progressing, keep on developing. So really pleased to recommit.
Has it gone as well, if not better than you could have hoped for?
Yeah, I think so. I think probably the work we did in terms of trying to change the way we played somewhat, that was embraced quicker than I thought it would do. I probably felt it would have been more problematic initially than it actually was. I think that's credit to the players that they embraced everything that I put forward to them and made it work. Without their help and their commitment to what we were talking about, it would have been nigh on impossible to really have the effect game time on match days that we wanted to see. So in fairness to the players, they've been excellent in that regard, really committed to what we were trying to do in terms of our day-to-day work and how that would affect what we did on a Saturday. So credit to them. They've enabled the club to move forward, in my view. I said at the beginning when I got the job, I wanted us to be a team that consistently competed in the top half of the Premier League. We've been able to do that last year. We're doing it again this year. Hopefully we'll stay in the top 10, if not higher. And that's a good response and a good place to be when you're looking to move the club forward in coming seasons.
And out of the international break into one of the biggest challenges that anybody faces, a game at Stamford Bridge against the league leaders.
Not easy. Our record there has been great, but that could be said of most clubs in the Premier League in recent times. So I think somebody said the last time we got a positive result there was in 1984. I think my first team coach was in goal, so I don't know what that says about the quality of Stoke in those days, or whether or not it questions the ability of my first team coach. But it's been a long time. We need to address that. We've been able to go to obviously the likes of Man City, Spurs away as well this year, and our way form for the most part has been good. So we've proved to ourselves that we can go to the top clubs and get positive results. So we'll have to do more of the same, hopefully, at the weekend.
Do you know your own record as a manager at Stamford Bridge?
No.
You've never won there?
Oh, right, thanks. I knew it wasn't particularly good. You have to say Chelsea in recent times have been the standout team, and always difficult. I mean, the record under Jose is quite remarkable. There's been other managers who've maintained that to a certain degree, but Jose's record as a manager in home games at Stamford Bridge is quite remarkable. So it takes good performance and a real belief in what you're trying to do to get a positive result.
Irrespective of what happens on Saturday, do you think they'll win the league?
I don't think they're playing possibly as well as they were in the first part of the season, but even so, they're still getting positive results. And maybe the setback of the Champions League just affected them somewhat, but all good teams bounce quickly back, and you sense their focus now is quite singular in terms of all we have to worry about is obviously going for the Premier League title. They haven't got European games to worry about, and maybe that will help them.
And how do you approach it? There's some real tasty battles on that pitch, the likes of Diego Costa up against Ryan Shawcross, and how do you deal with him?
Well, he's a standout player for them, and has an effect in almost every game he plays, and it's difficult to give just one player like him quiet for the 90 minutes. That's the aim, and it's not always possible, but we've got good defenders, guys that will cope obviously with that, we feel, and even if he gets past that defenders, he's got an outstanding keeper as well, so we'd like to think we can hopefully nullify his threat on the day. If we do that, then that helps us, but you have to say, even if you keep one player quiet, they've got any number of other outstanding individuals that can, even when they're not playing particularly well, they can still change games individually. So you have to be very vigilant. You can't lose concentration for 1 second, because the one time that you don't do the correct thing, then that's the time when you concede. So big challenge for us, but we're looking forward to it.
Are you still treated well there, one of your old clubs?
Yeah, I had a great time there. I had three really good years, probably at the beginning of the time where they were changing, becoming a successful club and one of the bigger clubs. I went there in '95, and I think signed just prior to the likes of, I signed with Rudolitz, and the next year they signed Viali and Zola, and from that point onwards things seemed to click for them, and obviously change of ownership had a huge impact on the success they've had, but I like to think maybe I played a small part in the beginnings of the success they've had.
And how are you looking squad-wise after the international break?
We're okay, we're in decent shape. Most of the guys have come back fitting well. Johnny Walters just got a bang on his calf this morning, just had the ball fired against his calf, and he was a bit sore, but we don't anticipate that we'll see him miss the game, so he should be okay. Everybody else has come back fine. We trained today, don't expect any reaction to train session today, so hopefully we'll travel with most people available.
So Steve Ireland as well?
Yes, Steve Ireland's okay. Mark Muniesa will be in the squad. He's had a good week's training as well, so only the long-term injuries, they're the only ones that we're missing at the moment.
But Peter Odemwingie back in training?
Peter's still in with the physios, but we're encouraged by what he's saying and what the physio's saying. Hopefully in the next 2 to 3 weeks we may well see him back in the group, and if he's back in the group, then you look at maybe a couple more weeks before he's available for selection. So he's as close as he has been to returning, so we're encouraged by that.
Just a word on your goalkeeping situation. Jack Butland has signed a new contract. How do you see his future?
Well, we see very much at Stoke City. We're delighted that we've recontracted Jack. I think he appreciates that we continue to try and develop him and make him into the goalkeeper that he believes he will be in the future, and we're very much part of that process, and we're very fortunate. I've got 3 outstanding keepers here. Ideally we would like to recontract Asmi. We're speaking obviously in the summer, and we're very hopeful in that regard. So as I said, we're very fortunate. We've got a really strong goalkeeping group, and that will sustain us moving forward.
Are you wary of that situation with Asmir Begovic, that other clubs may be looking at him with
I'm sure they will be looking at him, but we've got a lot of things that we can offer to Asmir, and he knows that we're a good club that will continue hopefully to progress, and he wants to be part of a successful football club. I know that, and he's an ambitious guy, but we'd like to think he could achieve what he needs from his career here at Stoke.
FA Chairman Greg Dyke has issued some proposals looking to increase the number of homegrown players in squads from 8 to 12 to help English football. Will that be a huge benefit?
I think it can help, possibly. Maybe give more opportunities, maybe give opportunities to players that you're not quite sure, and they may come in and they may well surprise you. I think we'll talk about Harry Kane at the moment. I think there's a lot of guys look to Harry and maybe looked at the negatives against him progressing as readily as he has done, and it was only the fact that he was given a chance has enabled him to show people what he can do. So maybe that elements of giving the opportunity for more players to come through rather than having their way blocked by more senior players. Maybe that's the good thing. But top and bottom of it, it's difficult for young players to become Premier League players. The bar is really high at the moment. So really, if you're good enough, you'll come through it irrespective of your nationality. But the Premier League bar in terms of being able to be an outstanding player at Premier League level is a big ask, and a lot of players will fall by the wayside.
So that pressure can preclude a manager from trying to blood a youngster in?
Yeah, and by nature of the Premier League, there's a lot of finance on offer depending on where you finish in the Premier League. I know when I was playing, I got my opportunity towards the end of my opening season, towards the end of the season, because the season basically was over. We weren't in a position to challenge for anything, so the manager at the time felt it was a good option to blood young players. I think sometimes certainly that option isn't open to many managers just because of the finance on money.
Are you a happy Welshman at the moment, Mark? Following that win in Israel, fantastic result.
Yeah. Wills and Chris are doing a great job and got themselves in a really positive position, and everybody's excited once again. It does remind me somewhat of the atmosphere around when we went close last time. Unfortunately, we missed out, and you hope that maybe some of the factors that affected us at that time, given towards the end of the campaign we lost people through injury, and as you get through to the end of the campaign, at times you can lose key players to suspension as well. So if they avoid all those things and they're able to get their best team out for every game, then we've got a real chance. I think the key was to have a good start, and that's what they've been able to manage, and now they can go with the momentum that they've built, and everyone in Wales will be behind the team, myself included, obviously.
Do you think it's the best group of players they've had since your day? And
I think so. Yeah, I think the similarity to my group was that predominantly they were players playing at the top level. Some of my guys were at top clubs but weren't regular starters. But Chris's team, for the most part, I think every one of them was playing at the top level, and that's key. I think in the past Welsh teams have always had good individual players, but collectively maybe. No disrespect to players playing at a lower level, but it was very difficult for them to come in and then try and raise the game to the level of international football. So if you can keep your stronger players and players that are playing at the top level in club football, then you give yourself a better chance.
And finally, can I just ask whether you watch a bit of golf or play a bit of golf with the first major of the year?
These days.
No time?
No time, unfortunately. Certainly watch it.
First major of the year underway next week, or Augusta?
Yeah, looking forward to the Masters. I always view watching the Masters and then getting the clubs out as the start of the golfer's season for most people. I think that winter golf never had any attraction whatsoever for me, but I always used to wait till the Masters, and then that's when you get your clubs out.
How would you fancy putting on those greens?
I'm not the best putter at all, to be perfectly honest. It doesn't matter what type of greens, but a bit too slick for my game, I have to say. Even if it was my A game, which doesn't appear very often.
Still a great spectacle though, isn't it?
Yeah, and I think the way it's presented now, I think it's a magnificent place. I've never been fortunate enough to go there. Hopefully, one of my bucket list items is certainly to, at some point in the future, be able to go and watch a Masters there. I think it's a beautiful place, and I think that comes across in the coverage that Sky do. So really looking forward to it.
Good luck for the weekend on the pitch.
Thanks.
Mark, in terms of Chelsea closing in on a title, is a top 8 finish almost Stoke's championship if you look at it in equivocal success, if you like?
Yeah, it's fair to say that. I think we will always strive to be higher than that, but I think last year, obviously we were 9th, and the teams above us, I think Southampton were 8th. Arguably we came second in that league, really, because last year the teams above the 7th to the number 1 spot were markedly better given that season. So you could argue we probably came second. So the challenge for us is to be first and maybe even better that and break in. But it certainly won't happen this year. But the anticipation and the hope is that in seasons to follow we can even possibly break through a glass ceiling. That is maybe ours.
In terms of Chelsea, obviously they're the favourites, but there definitely is a title race. Do you think it could be to your advantage with Arsenal playing Liverpool earlier on in the day? If they get a result, it could just start a little bit of nervousness.
Yeah, you sense that. I think it's going to go to the wire. It always will do. I don't think there's one markedly better team in the league. Each team has had periods during the season where they've looked the standout team, but then they've maybe dropped from those standards and somebody else has looked the more likely candidate to win. So the key is we're into the last stretch of the season and there's only 9 or so games to go, and it's about having a clear run at it and keeping your form right up to the end, and the team that does that will win.
And just finally for me, obviously on the new contract, which is great news for yourself, you've been well supported in the transfer market. Did you look for any assurances on that new contract, or was that a given because of the new money and the way that you had been supported historically?
Well, we haven't spent a great deal since I've been here. I think something like a net spend of 6 million, I think, over about 3-4 windows, how many ever we've been through. But I've never been given the impression that if the right player was available and we wanted to really push the boat out, there was funds available. It's just that we've chased any number of players, and some targets we've got very, very close to where we would have been in a position to make a decision whether or not we spend significant amounts, but we've never actually got to the point where we needed to, just because the target fell by the wayside. So I've never been in any doubt that if the right target is available and it's a possibility to get it over the line, then finances will be made available to me.
Great stuff, best of luck.
Sorry.
No, you can.
I was just one, Victor Mays is obviously be ineligible this weekend, will he? But otherwise, is he over his groin problem now? Will he be fit again?
Yeah. I mean, if he was available this weekend, he would be fit and well, and he was trained this week. So he'd be back in the squad for next week. He's obviously not eligible, and it's a shame because obviously he's a big part of our creative and our attacking threat. So not to have him available against a quality side such as Chelsea is unfortunate, but it's not something we can do anything about. So we'll make the best of it and make sure that at least he'll be fit and well and raring to go for our next outing.
And was it a groin issue?
Yeah, he's had just bumps and bruises and things that's held him back, but he's fit and well now. He hasn't had any problems, so he'll be ready for next week.
Mark, it's been pointed out that your record against Chelsea at Stamford Bridge is a little bit ropey, but you did manage a 0-0 draw several years ago with Blackburn, where you almost actually won it with chances from Bentley, Medicine and Robbie Savage, of course. So it is possible to surprise Mourinho's Chelsea, isn't it?
Well, yeah. I mean, I've always felt any of the teams have gone up against Chelsea and tried to give them a good account of themselves. We've been close sometimes, other times we've been poor on the day and been well beaten. So I thought our performance against Chelsea here was actually a really good performance. I had a lot of play, I think, on the day. It was something like 50-50 possession. So that's a good indication that we went toe-to-toe with them. In the end, just a little bit of quality at the top end of the pitch, which they undoubtedly have. That's what took the game away from us. But for the most part, I thought we acquitted ourselves really well and really asked them questions. So we know we can cause them problems. The key is to keep their individual talents away from the goal if you can, and not give them opportunities to use the talent that they undoubtedly have to create things for themselves and for their teammates. And over 90 minutes it is difficult, but we've done it against top teams this season and last season, so we'd love to do it at Stamford Bridge. Our record, as I've said, it isn't great there.